we all need people in our lives who can give us feedback, and that is how we will improve. So today in our Top Talk series, we have with us Mr. Rajneesh Singh, who will be discussing with us best practices of feedback. Rajneesh comes with over 3 decades of experience as an HR practitioner as well as an HR entrepreneur. In his corporate avatar, he served well-known organizations like Archer, Gillette, and Network 18 Group. In January 2011, he co-founded Simply HR Solutions, which today is an end-to-end HR firm catering to startups, SMEs, and large organizations. He is a published author, a social media enthusiast, and loves everything to do with outdoors. He is passionate about making a difference in the lives of people who need more opportunities to achieve their aspirations. He is an active contributor towards entrepreneurship development at school level initiated by Delhi government. He is involved with a school for autism children, Parivartan School in Delhi, and is one of the early supporters of Nai Disha, Gurugram. So a very welcome to you, Rajneesh, in this Top Talk discussion with me, where we can, discuss about the best practices which goes on in the industry.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead. Thank you very much for having me.
So, Rajneesh, the first thing which I would like to, know from you or know the opinion of yours is how important it is to formalize the feedback process in an organization.
I think perhaps it is one of the most important processes, if you really ask me, purely because everybody is there in an organization doing work, and everybody, end of the day, wants to know how they are doing. And therefore, there is a relationship that exists between a manager and a subordinate in the whole hierarchy. And because the manager is setting up the objectives, they are busy observing the performance, they're busy tracking the performance. End of the day, the appraisee expects that I need to know how am I doing. So in my view, it is one of the most important process for any organization. About time, if companies have not really formalized it, it is important that they actually formalize it. That's very, very critical. And my sense is that if feedback happens the right way, the entire performance process, is reinforced. People believe in the process more if the feedback has gone well.
Right.
So feedback that way becomes a very important, I would say, skill also for managers, for appraisers. And, unfortunately, not many organizations really train their managers to how to give feedback. So your very first question is a very interesting question. Do we need to formalize it? Of course, we need to formalize it.
In my case as well, I have come across people who just accepting the idea that year-end appraisal is should be abolished and it should be made more frequent. But when it comes to feedback, they are still feedback should be done during the appraisal. The continuous engagement in terms of exchanging the conversation, they are very new to this matter. So, as you said, that formalizing feedback is very important. Do you think it is also important to have a platform for where managers, not only managers in that case, everyone in the organization can exchange feedback in a real-time basis?
Absolutely. My sense is many organizations now are definitely moving towards more frequent performance assessments. Or evaluation, as you may call it, which means that if you are assessing somebody's performance, it becomes very, very important that you also have a performance chat or a feedback with the individual within whatever time limit. You need not do a very exhaustive feedback. Probably you can keep that for maybe a half-yearly thing or probably an annual thing. But if you are really keeping track of somebody's performance, say for instance on a monthly basis, end of the month, can I take out just about 5-10 minutes and have a quick chat over a cup of coffee, and that itself will give a lot of direction, a lot of energy, a lot of motivation for the person to really course correct if there are things not going the right way, and of course get also appreciated for things that he or she may be doing pretty well. So my sense is, along with the frequency of the performance evaluations going up, my strong recommendation is also, which I keep talking also, is that round the year feedback should also happen at the same time. That's very, very important. I mean, we keep talking about giving a feedback in the corridor. It's like you're just about walking with somebody, one of your colleague, and you just tell him 2-3 things,
Right.
and that's as part of an observation that I might have probably seen, probably in a meeting or on the shop floor, somewhere in a vendor interaction or a client interaction. Why should I keep that feedback for year end? If I feel that little thing that was amiss, if I need to correct that, I need to do it at the right time. And so there's no, I wouldn't say feedback anymore should be, and I fully buy your point that, the frequency should go up and people should be doing more often.
Yes, because as you mentioned, like if something is happening in this point in time, if I'm giving feedback at the end of the year, then the actual purpose of giving feedback, which is basically the improvement, right? That is somewhere lost in the process.
Yeah. So it's like when we talk about reward recognition, we always talk about do it at the right time.
Right.
So whether you are pulling up somebody, do it at the right time. Whether you are rewarding somebody, do it at the right time. I think in that same measure, feedback also needs to happen at the right time, rather than pile it up for year end and suddenly surprise the guy with 20 things about which the person turns around and says, look, you never mentioned to me ever during the year. And suddenly you have, so many a times, and I was just conducting these couple of sessions early this week on feedback skills. And, one of the participants, and these were all definitely people leaders, people managers.
Right.
One of them said, some of us are in this mode of taking badla at the year end.
Oh my God.
Now you can imagine the way people approach feedback in so many. That's why your first question of formalizing it and in which it becomes very, very important. Are we really training our people as to what feedback is all about?
Right.
So it's not about getting vindictive and piling up stuff to be fired at the year end, and really demotivating the guy that he or she thinks of just leaving the organization.
Yeah.
So my take on feedback has been that as much as it's a career maker, at times, courtesy the managers of having done a terrible job of feedback, they have also become career breakers as well. People just leave if the feedback is handled poorly.
Right. So as you mentioned that, proper training is required so that the managers and, both the employees get an idea about how the feedback should be delivered. So do you think that in case of negative feedback,
Yes.
So there is training required a lot so that it doesn't get revengeful, but it becomes constructive. So that,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Very, very critical is also to conduct parallel programs on how to receive feedback. You see, that's the other dimension which is equally important. Not many of us are also equipped to take feedback in the right spirit, right? We always feel that we have done everything right and there is nothing wrong that I have done, right? We all feel that I am 5 on 5 on everything. So, and that's a very Indian thing that, on anything, if you ask me rating on a 5 scale, I'm going to give myself 5, and I am ready for every promotion, everything that you want to do. I am ready,
At any point in time.
At any point of time. And so that's why I view feedback as that showing the mirror time when you really tell the individual that these are the things that, are missing. You have, of course, done very well. I think in a negative feedback situation, it is very, very important that you always open on a positive note, because every individual does have few positives. Some might have many of them. But I think people who are really found to be average performers, below average performers, end of the day, as a people leader, as a people manager, my objective is that I develop this guy. I shouldn't be giving up on this. The easiest thing to do is to give up on somebody. The real challenge for people managers is, can you turn around an average performer into a very good performer?
Right.
So, and in that process, feedback becomes very important. So if I have the right inputs for that individual, that these are the 3 things, if you can focus on, trust me, you will turn the tide. And I have always seen people really transform basis of these couple of interactions they would have had with their managers. And, lo behold, they just become great performers. People, it's all about behavior end of the day, and behaviors change. So if I really give it the right way, with the whole objective of helping the person, right? And the other thing I always speak also about when you're talking about a negative or an average performer is to make it a co-process, that we are going to work on this together.
Right.
I think the more the people manager talks about we rather than you, that there is something wrong with you, there is this missing in you, I think it's important that we use the word we more often, so that that person also feels that you are also taking ownership in my development, in my growth. I think that little message of using the right word itself goes miles in turning around people.
Right. In this context also, I would like to add to it, like sometimes, as you said, that people get very vindictive in terms of giving feedback. So it's very important to make the feedback about the performance of the employee and not the employee as a person or individual, because it is very easy to get labeled in an organization, right? So yeah, I feel that
So like you correctly mentioned, the last thing of feedback process should be about that you make it a personal thing.
Right.
I think it has to stay strictly to a professional thing. Yes, you might ask about any personal challenges that you might be facing. Let me know whatever I can help with. But end of the day, it has to be kept as a very, very, very professional thing, so that, the moment you start getting too emotionally, engaged in a feedback process, then things are going to go out of your hand. I think it's important to stay objective. That's why we keep talking about how to keep performance assessments objective, and to the point, keep it to work. So I think that is important.
So Rajneesh, I would like to ask you, like, what are the best things or the key features that a feedback process in an organization must include to make it more effective and wholesome in the organization?
So if you really ask me, any organization wanting to either initiate a formal feedback process or wanting to improve their current feedback process, I think it's very, very critical, like we started at the beginning, to really invest in people, train people, make them aware about the importance of feedback, how it plays into the entire growth of the business. Because end of the day, if we do a great job of feedback, like I said, people change, people improve. And if people improve, there is somewhere or the other, there's a link to the whole organizational growth. So that importance needs to be highlighted, and therefore the investment in training is very, very critical. Number 2 is very important to set objective, because end of the day, you are not giving feedback in vacuum. Right. There is something against which you give feedback. And so the setting of objectives is very important. So people who do very good job of setting the right objectives in the right way, and there is a model that we normally use called the SMART model, which is keeping it specific, keeping it measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So if I am setting objectives which are SMART based, somewhere I am actually helping myself as the feedback giver to have done a good homework.
Right.
Because that is the starting point. If I do a shabby job of that, end of the year, I don't have anything else to look at. Against what will I give feedback? So I think objective setting itself is critical. Third thing is important is how you are tracking performance through the year. There are various means and methods. There are MISs that people use. There are some people use diary keeping of tracking some critical incidents, as we say. Any performance that's been exceptional, any performance that's been very poor, you just record that just to keep in your memory, that I don't forget it. That is another feature that we really look at. And I think at the end of the day, when you come into the performance, the feedback dialogue, I think that is the time when you really have to give an experience to the individual that the person goes out of the feedback process feeling very enriched.
Right.
So that again, the fourth feature, very important, is how are you making that experience very, very engaging for that individual, that he or she equally contributes in, and really feels that you are thinking about me and you are concerned about me. So my sense is, if these are 3-4 things, if you look at, and one of the other model that I can talk about while I'm talking about performance tracking is also, there's another model that we normally talk about is the SBI model. And the SBI model talks about behavior. So S is for situation, B is for behavior, and I is for impact. So if I can keep track of certain situations where certain behaviors were demonstrated and what those behaviors led to, if I'm able to record these incidents also, it just is enough data point for me to make my feedback solid.
Right.
At the end of the day, one of the most important thing in feedback, we should understand that it has to be fact-based. As many situations you can talk about, factual stuff, not perceptions, right? That I've heard about this.
Yes.
I got to know about this. That's the last thing that you should be doing.
Right. And like another point which you mentioned, which I really like, the objective part of it, because giving feedback in the open air is something which is which doesn't do anything.
Nobody will buy it.
Yeah, exactly. So it is very important to tag it to a particular goal or a particular objective or behavior, as you mentioned.
Absolutely.
So that the person who is receiving the feedback can also understand that why am I receiving this? The
Absolutely.
why factor of the feedback. And I believe that this why factor leads to the how factor, why am I getting this feedback will lead to how am I going to improve myself.
Absolutely. Very much.
Yeah. So the next thing, about the negative feedback which we talked about, you said that the managers need training based on how to give negative feedback. So as you mentioned before, that as human beings, we are very closed off when it comes to accepting feedback, right? And when we talk about negative feedback, the closeness increases a lot. So in an organization which which allows employees to also give negative feedback to their peers or superiors, so they have a lot of fear in them that how will I point out the negative things in my superior or my manager, and how will I give it? So any tips which you would like to share, like how they can overcome this fear?
Yeah. So and that's the sad fact that fear does exist at the workplace, and maybe because of historical reason, legacy, whatever. But then end of the day, it boils down to how an individual really operates as a manager or a leader. If I am one of those persons who's pretty open, who's pretty transparent, who encourages bottom-up feedback, I think I'm also helping myself in the whole process.
Right.
Unfortunately, what happens is that the moment I get a title or a designation, I feel I have now become the emperor out here, and I know everything, and I'm like a perfect guy. Nobody can ever point out anything in me. Now, that is the saddest part. Many managers or people leaders really fall into the trap. I think it is very, very critical to create an environment in your team where your team members feel very comfortable, rather than expecting a backlash or some kind of, being put into a corner or blocking some growth, not nominating you here or there, and keep pointing out that, this is all because what you told me the other day. Now, that's the last thing you should be doing. That's petty managerialism. Right?
Exactly.
I think people who mature as great managers, as great leaders, they are all the more busy asking every time through the year, how am I doing? And that's important. But end of the day, like I said at the beginning, it all boils down to that individual style of working. If he or she encourages expression at work, then that's brilliant. People are going to express. People are going to tell you exactly, boss, this day you goofed up. And we notice that. but because there were so many people sitting there, we never pointed it out. But I thought in person, I'll come and tell you that this was not the right way to do it. That's brilliant. Now, I shouldn't take it as a thing, okay, oh, this guy is coming and telling me this. Not at all. I think I should be thanking the person. The other thing, and that's why when I said about people need to be trained on receiving feedback, is in a feedback process, it's a blessing that somebody is out there to help you, right? And as long as the process is on a helping mode, I should be thanking that person that you have shown me this mirror, and I can now see myself. Where am I? What are my lacunas? Where am I really good at? Thank you very much. This is going to help me. It's brilliant. So I think end of the day, it's important what kind of environment we are creating in the team. That it all boils down to that. And people then are not going to feel fearful that there will be a backlash or, I'll be kind of picked up some point of time and given a hard one that, how dare you? Yeah. I don't think so. And I think increasingly as the workplaces are also maturing, I see a lot of things becoming very bottom up. People are maturing quite a bit. And the more that happens, the better it is. I mean, at the end of the day, the organization will benefit when you have managers, leaders also really taking the feedback in the right spirit for themselves also.
Right. So, Rajneesh, like you have worked with startups, right? And you have worked with companies which have been in the market for so many years. So are there any differences or distinctions you see in the feedback process which are followed there and which are followed in the startups and, the new age companies?
Yes. No, there is definitely a clear distinction. Definitely a more established company would have very strong processes. Not only feedback, there will be other processes also which will be very much entrenched. They would have probably overhauled it many times, kept it improving, kept it very dynamic. Startups definitely, because they are at a certain age of their growth, it is understandable that there are other priorities that take time, and therefore certain things, especially in HR, which I again keep warning a lot of startups that most problems in startups are people problems. You will get money, you will get technology, but the way you handle people, end of the day, everything boils down to that. Right. And so it is important for startups also to soon realize the importance of having the right people practices. Within that, how are we tracking performance becomes the most critical one, because end of the day, every founder also wants to know if I'm giving this salary to this guy, how much am I getting in return? And so what is the ROI? And every startup guy is so gung-ho on ROI because there is an investor out there who's talking the same language. So he passes it down to the employee that, things are not working out. And, so there is that level of impatience for sure. And that is understandable because they are at that stage. But having said that, I have also noticed startups, again, which mature very fast. Again, boils down to the kind of founders who could be there. They could be pretty young age also, but their outlook on people practices is so evolved. And the way they talk about things, at times I feel, I had no idea about this. And it's so nice to hear from you. So at times there are surprises in startups also. There are some startups who've done a terrific job of really making things very objective in tracking performance, setting up objectives, and doing reviews very rigorously. So we have a mixed bag in startups, but yeah, startups definitely need to do a lot more.
Yeah, to catch up with the feedback process.
To catch up with the feed. Oh yes, and they need to realize the importance of it. I think they might be treating it too casually, and that could be leading to certain attritions also, which they may not be really aware why this attrition is happening. End of the day, the research says that people leave their managers; they don't leave the company.
Right.
So and when you say people leave managers, one of the important aspects where people would have felt really disengaged was the way you spoke to me, the way you gave me the feedback, because that's the trigger. That's the trigger.
Right. Yeah. So, how important, as you said, that how important it is to figure out the feedback and incorporating among the employees. And last day I was talking to someone and they said that one employee was working in a company for 10 years, but they left suddenly, even during this pandemic situation where, the job situation is so difficult. So only the monetary issue cannot be the reason why they left. So there must be a clear communication gap which happened between the organization. So yeah, as you said, that feedback process, evolving on it, developing on it is very important, so that the valued resources of the company are happy and feel that yes, they are a part of the company, and yes, their voices are heard as well.
And they're, end of the day, they're retained. I think that's
right.
Bottom line. Everybody wants, every manager wants that my team is retained. And every person at the top then who's keeping an eye on you as a manager, they keep seeing, I mean, if this manager under whom attrition is going high, that means then they square it down to the manager that there is something wrong in you, why people are leaving only under you. so that's very critical.
Right. So, Rajneesh, I would like to ask you, like, having been worked for so many years and so many companies and backgrounds, like, what are the things you think are very essential to be present in a feedback tool so that they are, more acceptable and more usable by the employees and the managers alike?
Yeah, so I think it is important to put a little structure around feedback, prepare a do's and don'ts, as I would call it, which is what I just did when I did these 2 sessions earlier this week. We did a lot of small group discussion, and there were some very rich inputs that came in. And so those inputs, so typically any organization really embarking on establishing a formal feedback process definitely needs to do a lot of homework. Put the whole frequency around it, how the dialogue needs to happen, when does it need to happen, what all you should be speaking, what all you should not be speaking. I think if we can keep looking at things from that angle, and then, like I said, imparting the whole knowledge around feedback, so equipping people will be important. And from a tool standpoint, honestly, no major thing that needs to be really happen. It is a very basic human process. Look, end of the day, feedback has been happening with us from school days, right? A result card would come, right? There was the teacher, school teacher, the headmistress or whoever, I mean, the lady or a principal. There used to be this report card where the moment a note to the parents would come, you would jitter, that what has been written, and you would be scared. Yeah. So you can imagine the feedback has been happening since then. So we are so used to getting feedback. So let's not complicate it too much. Like we keep saying, and because we represent a company called Simply HR, so we believe in simplifying. I think it's very, very important not to complicate with too many tools. The only thing that I can right now, of course, suggest to many people also is that because of the pandemic, because so many things have gone online, I think one of the tool definitely is to go virtual, yet not miss the feedback the way both of us are talking. This is a typical feedback process that should still happen, even if people are in work from home. So can we train people on simple thing like how to use a Zoom platform, for example, so that a proper feedback happens. I think it is very, very important that the organization stays dynamic with all the tools possible that they can equip the managers and leaders. But end of the day, like I said, just need to keep it simple. But yes, draw out a do's and don'ts, put a structure to it, give it in black and white as a reference document that when you are getting into a feedback process, just refer to this document and then please get going.
Okay. So, as you mentioned, this virtual feedback sessions are very important, and teaching the people about how to use the virtual feedback is important. So if I consider, say, a software solution where for exchanging feedback, do you think the anonymity helps in giving feedback?
Well, if it is a one-on-one, there is no anonymity out, right?
No.
Because it's between two individuals.
Yeah.
I think anonymity normally comes in when we talk about the more evolved feedback process called the 360-degree feedback, right? Which is where then we are taking feedback from many other sources. Right? It could be a core department, it could be a vendor from outside, it could also be a customer, for example. Now there, keeping it all anonymous makes a lot of sense. You don't want, the individual should, in a 360-degree individual should be just interested in what feedback has come from so many people. And like I said, I should be just holding my hands and thanking everybody that all of you have seen me from so many angles and you have given me this feedback, right? So I don't think in a two-way process where the traditional feedback is there, where it is a one-on-one thing, there is no anonymity out there. But the moment you include more people in the feedback process, and especially going into a 360-degree and all, is when anonymity definitely should come in, and which is what every organization follows also when they are into a 360-degree feedback process.
Right. So, Rajneesh, do you think, like, I want your opinion actually, like how the feedback process, do you think that it is essential or it makes sense to link the feedback process with the employee performance evaluation?
It has to be absolutely linked. I mean, both of them go hand in hand. So when the moment I am talking about performance and the word along with it evaluation, the moment I am using the word evaluation, I am doing some kind of an assessment.
Right.
I'm somewhere doing some measurement, right? I'm just checking, did you meet expectation or you did not meet expectation, or simply put, did you exceed expectation? Now, these are evaluative criteria, so to say, again, simply put. Now, so the moment I have done that kind of an evaluation, it becomes very important that I come back to you and tell you that this is where you are, and therefore the linkage of performance evaluation with feedback is a very natural thing and it has to happen. Right? Both can't be working in isolation, not at all. You've got to link it up. Right. And that's where, like I said right at the beginning, that the better the feedback, the more stronger the performance evaluation process will become, because that's what feeds into this process. So that's the way I'll see it. I mean, it's a hand-in-hand process.
Yeah, so this makes the ratings or the scoring of the employee in case of performance evaluation more adequate and more, accurate if Absolutely. Feedbacks are taken Absolutely. Into consideration as well, along with other parameters.
Very true. People want to know, if you've given me 3 on 5, how?
Yeah.
Like you talked about how and why just now.
Yeah.
People want to know on what basis have you given me 3, and at times people struggle if they've not done a good homework of their feedback process. There is a terrible situation that they will land up.
Right.
And then you can't be looking here and there and trying to figure out as to why you gave 3. I better be fully equipped on, if I am putting a score anywhere, I better be very sure why I'm putting that score.
Yeah.
And I need to help that individual why I'm giving you a 3 on 5. Yeah. And that's why the definition of the ratings become very critical. What does 3 mean? What does a 4 mean? Many organizations do a wonderful job of it. They make it so crystal clear that even the feedback receiver understands what does a 3 mean. That there is something lacking in me, that I am just there and not there.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the process should be crystal clear, because not only the giver should have an idea like why I am giving that particular person a 3 on 5, the receiver should also have an idea why I am receiving 3 on 5.
Yes, which means have we, so as part of the entire agenda, when we talked about preparing the organization for a performance management process, it is important, do the people who are being evaluated, do they know the entire framework or not?
Right.
It is important to let them know that this is on what all things you will be evaluated.
Right, right.
So that's important.
So it creates a clarity and there is no miscommunication in the process.
Really. I mean, HR people goof up on that big time. When they don't prepare the ground, when they don't actually educate people on the entire process, and you have a lot of mess going on then.
Right, right. So the last thing which I would like to know from you, Rajneesh, is like, what are the key questions in your opinion that the organization should ask their employee to get honest feedback about the organization?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I think so. Many organizations conduct so-called satisfaction surveys, engagement surveys. Now, these are again tools, if you may really call them, for seeking feedback. And very clearly, there are various formats companies use. And there again, many organizations, of course, they keep it absolutely anonymous because they don't want the employee to feel anywhere a bit uncomfortable of giving some feedback to the company. But I think overall, if I really were to look at what organizations should be asking or asking their employees to ask them, is definitely that, and mostly around how the people processes are working, right from the salary is nothing to really ask for because every individual always feels he's underpaid. So that's the last question you should be putting there. So I keep telling everybody that in the feedback process, for heaven's sake, don't keep a salary word because that's a never-ending discussion.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think organizations would definitely like to know how are they doing. Are people feeling comfortable? Are people really enjoying working? Are they feeling appreciated enough? Do you think we are transparent enough? Do you think we communicate enough? Do you think we engage enough? Right. I think broadly, if we just stay focused on the core employee engagement metrics, I think the questions would emerge clearly from there. So talk about care, talk about safety, talk about togetherness. Do you
even
feel
mental health as well?
Mental health. I mean, today's times, mental health is a big topic.
Yes.
And definitely in a work from home situation, when we are talking hybrid models of working, I think those are the shifts that are going to happen. Organizations need to keep asking people, are we doing enough to take care of you? And so do you feel wanted? Do you feel cared? So are you, do you have somebody to go to in the organization if you feel, there's some stress in your mind, for instance? Do you have a buddy in the system? So those are some of the questions that typically organizations should be asking. I mean, on an ongoing basis, like we do these surveys, many companies do it very religiously once a year. They get a lot of data points, they start working on them, a lot of interventions get designed around them. I think companies which are very, very future focused, they believe in the power of, like I said, the bottom-up approach.
Right.
And these surveys and all are all feedback tools which the best of the organizations utilize, to the max. I mean, they want to know how they're doing, and which is what, if you really take it down to a manager should be creating an environment in the team where he should know how he or she is doing.
Right.
And the more free the environment in his team, better it is. People will be forthcoming and telling you exactly.
Right. So thank you so much, Rajneesh. It was great interacting with you. The points you shared, from making feedbacks objective to indulging or investing in training so that the managers and the employees know how to give feedback, and making it a continuous process, every aspect of it. I think it will be really helpful to the listeners as well. Thank you so much for taking out time and having this interview with me.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me again. Thank you.
Thank you.